Anxiety does not empty tomorrow of its sorrows, but only empties today of its strength. By Charles Spurgeon. Hi, welcome to Life is a Treasure podcast. I'm your hostess, Michelle Durand, and if this is your first time, thank you so much for choosing this podcast to listen to, and I hope you'll stick around and I invite you to join my Facebook group, introduce yourself, let me know where you're listening from, and what your takeaways are from this episode. And if you are a regular listener, I sincerely thank you with all of my heart for your support. I appreciate every single one of you, and I look forward to meeting you all in person one day. So this episode is a continuation of a series that I'm doing for the month of July 2020, and the theme for this month was freedom. And this is the last episode in that series. It's entitled Freedom from Anxiety. And the full moon is approaching us on August 3rd of 2020. And the full moon is a great time for us to bring the things that are no longer helpful or serving us in our life and let them go, purge them, release things, even beliefs that no longer help us to be the best person that we can be. Allow those things in our lives to come to an end and make room for new. And that's what the focus of this episode is going to be about. When we think of anxiety, we think about stress, worry, fears, negative thoughts, and most importantly, false beliefs. Because anxiety starts in our minds. And what we think, what we believe in our heart, what we think in our mind, those create our feelings. And many times we base our decisions and our actions on our feelings. So we're going to just really, really dive in to anxiety today, because this is a topic that I know personally very well for most of my life and all of my adult life. And I can say that my anxiety started shortly after I had my abortion experience. To me, my abortion experience was very traumatic, and I realize it's not always that way for people, but for myself, I can only speak for myself and the women that I've had in my groups. And anxiety is definitely a common denominator in our experiences. And so I will speak on it from that angle, and I would like to share and explain too that a lot of times our anger and our anxiety, if we allow it to be turned inward, to go deep into our soul, that is where we start to feel depressed. And then we may even begin to have suicidal thoughts because we just want to escape that feeling of deep anger and anxiety and overwhelm. And sometimes we just don't know what else to do, and we really think about ending it. And I'll share a little bit more as I go along in my stories that I'll share from my personal experience of dealing with anxiety, panic attacks, suicidal thoughts. All of those things are very near and dear to my heart because they were part of my life. They still are. I still have to learn how to cope with them every day. I'm going to offer you some tips as well, things that have helped me along the way and that are helping me still to this day. And so, when we think of anxiety, it's a constant low-grade fear. We may worry about the future, or we may have fears of things happening in the future or in the moment. And I created an episode of Freedom from Fear, and I welcome you to listen to that one as well. But a lot of times, to me, fear is false evidence appearing real. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it is a great way for me to really remember and to explore my fears, to stop and say, when I'm having fearful thoughts, is this false evidence appearing real? In other words, is this true? Is this my reality? And this could be something I'm facing. This could be a thought. This could be a belief in my heart. And so I always like to explore, and I always help my clients go through this process of their fears and their thoughts and their beliefs. Is this true? Or is this something you're anticipating, but it's not really reality? And if we get stuck in that state, that's where we're just paralyzed and we don't know how to move forward. And so that's what I help people do in transitioning through these feelings in order to get to the reality and sometimes the root of what's causing anxiety. Some of the symptoms with anxiety are like sleeping, oversleeping, or not able to sleep, insomnia, lack of motivation. We just don't have the desire to do anything. And we have continual negative thoughts. We may even become antisocial and unsocial. We just don't want to be around ourselves or anybody else for that matter. And again, as I had said earlier, another symptom is suicidal thoughts. And if you're having suicidal thoughts, if you feel suicidal, I recommend that you contact 911 and the suicide help prevention hotline. Just look it up on your phone or your internet and it will give you the number. And, I don't take that lightly. I believe these feelings and these thoughts are real and to be taken very seriously. And I know in the midst of it, we may feel like things will never get better. Things will never change. And just realize if you're thinking never, that's negative. And in my other episodes, I really talk about transforming that and flipping it. Instead of saying never, take that word out. Say, I will heal. I will get better. I know in my own life, when I experience these very real emotions of depression and anxiety and panic attack, I have to tell myself, this too shall pass. This will get better. This is a season of my life. This is a lesson that I need to be learning. What are my lessons here? And I just explore and I go deep and I journal and I write and I talk it through with a therapist. And I'm going to share about that because there's online therapy, right? That's available to everyone. There's even free online therapy through 7 Cups of Tea. And I volunteer there and, it's free. You can talk to someone who will listen. And I'm going to share in the show notes, I'm going to leave links to online therapy, including 7 Cups and 2 or 3 others that I have personally used myself in my journey. And I still have a therapist. I meet with her in person, but due to the current situations, we've been meeting via video. And I can tell you that via video is just like sitting in person with your face to face, just the computer is in front of you. And so that is definitely a doable option. And I highly, highly recommend online therapy. I also help people via video. And so I know that it works and it's awesome and amazing. And people definitely get transformation and results from having someone just listen and hold that space for them to talk and to not give advice and to not judge and to just allow them to express their feelings and their thoughts and their emotions in a safe space so they can then see what areas they want to heal or change. And to all of my listeners, I'm offering you a free one-on-one session with me, and I will share the link in the show notes as well. And I invite you to schedule your session with me. And I just want to be here to hold space for you and to help you on your journey toward healing, because that is my heart. And my mission is to offer hope, help, and healing. So as we continue on, the symptoms I mentioned are like sleep, eating disorders, suicidal thoughts, lack of motivation, negative thoughts, unsocial. And another big one is shame. Shame can keep us in so much anxiety and depression. And shame is all about our inward feeling. And shame is very different from guilt. And as a bonus episode, I'm going to have a very beautiful guest come on, and she's going to be sharing about shame and it's going to be an amazing episode. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out. And it's going to be called Freedom from Shame. So stay tuned. That's coming up really soon. And so, as I mentioned, we have a full moon that's coming on August 3rd. And so as you listen to this, you will get some inspiration, hopefully, and encouragement to help yourself with your coping with anxiety or depression or whatever you might be feeling and dealing with. And this new moon is a great opportunity. A full moon is going to be able to illuminate those things. The energy of the moon is very real and powerful. Just like the energy of the sun is very hot and strong and real, the moon is also. And allow that light from that moon and that energy. Bring to light the things that you want to release and purge and let go of. It is time to put an end to the anxiety, make changes in your life that I'm going to offer in through some tips to really transform that anxiety, that anxious thoughts into something that's more productive, that will serve you and help you to be the best you that you possibly can be. And instead of just surviving, you can learn how to thrive in your life. So the reason that we really want to explore our anxiety and learn how to cope with our anxiety is so that it will not keep us in depression. And depression is different from like just a sadness. We might feel depressed when we go through situations, and that's normal and that's healthy. And we know that we're going to get through, and we don't really need a lot of support or extra help. But if it is a chronic sadness that's lasting long and longer and longer, that's depression. And that's where you really need to seek help and have someone help get you out of that state of mind. And if they are not dealt with, those feelings, they will eventually perhaps become panic attacks. And I will share exactly how I felt when I went through my panic attack. And also they affect your relationships, not only your relationship with others, but especially your relationship with yourself, because no one wants to feel sad, depressed, suicidal, and just not living a life that they know that they have better opportunities. So as I shared, my first experience with anxiety was shortly after my abortion experience. I really had a lot of anxiety. I had thoughts of the past, from the pain that I went through. I had anxiety and anxious thoughts about my future. Would I ever heal? Would I ever be able to have children again? And just on and on and on. Those thoughts just took over my mind. And I had to really learn how to deal with those emotions, allow myself to feel the real feelings that I had, and heal from my abortion experience. And heal meaning like forgiving myself and forgiving other people and accepting what I did and being able to move on and not feel pain and cry every time I heard the word or I had spoke about it. And so that was my first experience. And then as life went on, I went through a really painful divorce, and I was very depressed. I had suicidal thoughts. I went through severe depression because the divorce was something that affected more than just myself. It affected my children too. And I had a lot of strong feelings with that. I had a lot of guilt. I had a lot of anger. I had a lot of emotions. I was overwhelmed by my emotions, and I did not know how to deal with them. And nothing anyone said helped me. And that's where it comes to getting help. I had a counselor. I had so many mentors in my life, and I could call at any time that was there to support me, to listen to me, to let me cry, to let me scream, just to be there and hold that space. And they will forever be in my heart for their generosity of their time and being there to support me during the most difficult time in my life. And that's who I want to be for you. If you have no one else, that's why I offer the one-on-one session free just to have someone here who cares, who will hold space for you, who will listen, not to give you advice, just to allow you to figure things out on your own. And so then the divorce was one thing, and a lot of depression. But then I experienced panic attacks. And so I just remember all of a sudden, and it felt like all of a sudden, but in reality, yes, it comes through time and just slowly builds up till it came into a full-blown panic attack, which led me to the emergency room twice. It was the most horrible feeling I've ever had. It was worse than just anxiety. It was feeling like I was literally going to die. My heart was racing. I couldn't calm myself down. I just wanted help, and I wanted it immediately. And so going to the emergency room, they would check my heart. They did EKG. They did a lung x-rays. They ran all the tests and said that it was anxiety panic attack disorder. And so at that point, I was able to find a doctor who specialized in anxiety. And then from there, she recommended that I see a therapist in person. And I made sure that therapist specialized in anxiety and, most importantly, panic attacks. And from that support, and through the tips I'm going to share with you in a second, I was able to work through and learn how to manage my body and my emotions better. And it affected everything. I couldn't drive, so I did start online therapy first until I was able to not have so much anxiety that I was able to drive again. And, I was hard to sleep. So, I just wanted to offer you some tips that helped me. Number one, I really listened to other podcasts that helped me, meditations through my ear headphones or earbuds to help me calm down, to help me sleep. I am a big, strong believer in essential oils, and my favorite go-to is lavender, and my second favorite is frankincense. And I also believe that taking a warm, hot bath in Epsom salts is amazing. And so I would fill the tub with water, Epsom salt, essential oils, burn some really good candles, and I would put on some soft music. And there's different kind of music you can listen to, and YouTube is my favorite. So go to YouTube and Google in, anxiety music, panic attack music. And it's like different beats that help your brain to balance out. And that's very important when you're dealing with panic and anxiety. And so I would listen to that, and I would breathe. And that's so important. So I know it sounds silly, but literally breathing in slowly and breathing out even slower. That helps calm that central nervous system back down. And we don't feel that panic, fight or flight feeling. And I use CBD oil that I sublingually put under my tongue, and it helps as well with coping with my anxiety. So those are a few tips that you can use for your body. Now, when it comes to your mind, because this podcast is all about mind, body, and soul. And so when it comes to your body, you want to make sure that you're getting enough nutrition, not junk food, but really good, wholesome food. Nutrition is important, and supplements as well. Strong believer in supplements. And sleep. So again, do whatever you can. You can take melatonin over the counter. Again, check with your doctor before you take anything. But I use melatonin for sleep, and I really feel it helps me. And so, nutrition and vitamins, supplements. Make sure you get enough sleep, even if that means having to take naps. If you have young children, when they're napping, you nap. So, take care of yourself. I have a whole episode on self-care, and you can listen to that one also by Googling it and looking on Life is a Treasure podcast for self-help. is not selfish is the name of it. And then along with nutrition and sleep is movement. Movement is amazing for our body. And that could even just be a little walk, anything to get your body moving. Maybe you love to dance, put on some music and dance with your children, or yoga. My daughter went to Bali, Indonesia. We actually lived there for 8 years. So she went back to Bali, Indonesia, and she was able to get certified as a yoga instructor. And she started offering yoga online via Zoom. And she's, yes, my daughter, but she is amazing. And I will link the Zoom video. It's by Zoom video. And so I will link her information also in the show notes if you would like to check it out. And her name is Courtney Sprawls. So I will link her yoga class online in the show notes for you to check it out. So meditation is a big part of that as well. And she offers meditation at the end. But so meditation is another tool that you can use for your mind to calm it down. Affirmations are so important. Earlier I shared about how we tell ourselves, this is a season, it's going to pass. But affirmations, speak them out loud to yourself. I am healing. I would say that over and over and put my hand on my heart. I am healing. I am healing. And just give yourself grace and compassion. Journaling is extremely useful. Write with your hand. Get a beautiful favorite journal or just a tablet and write. And start with gratitude. One thing, if you're not in the habit of journaling or having a gratitude journal or list, just make this your goal. I challenge you every day. Just think of one thing a day, a different thing every day, but just one baby step. And what am I grateful for? And it could be the clouds in the sky. It could be your beautiful baby. One thing every single day, and then gradually add more and more. And the goal is to help you to focus on the good rather than all of the bad that you might be feeling. Another is to make sure you're playing and doing a hobby or a passion. For me, I love birds. I have bird feeders surrounding my house. I have bird baths surrounding my home. And I have a camera and I sit outside and I take pictures of my beautiful birds. And to me, that's so healing and so much needed for my mental state. I also love to grow flowers and vegetables in my garden. I grow herbs, vegetables, flowers for the butterflies and the hummingbirds. And that's something I love to do. I love to plant every day. I might move a plant or I propagate a plant and go plant it somewhere else. So if that's something you're interested in, and if you would like more information in a future episode, let me know. And I'll be more than happy to share tips and tricks on how to start a garden or how to start birding. Just let me know. Reach out to me or join our Facebook group, Life is a Treasure Podcast on Facebook, and let me know. So the goal for this whole episode is not just to offer freedom from our anxiety with the use of the energy from the full moon, but it's to help us realize that healing from the past is very important. That's what offers us our peace. And that is how we can cultivate healthy relationships, and especially the relationship with ourselves. You can have more love, and you can love yourself. Learn to love yourself. I have a whole episode on self-love also. And it brings you so much more happiness when you're healed, when you're free from your anxiety. Happiness is within. And when you feel happiness within, you have true joy. And that is always my hope and my wish for you, is that you will feel the peace and the love and the joy that you deserve to feel in this life. So I'm going to ask you, if you enjoy this episode, to please rate it and review to help others find it and to learn that this episode could help them as well. And I would love to hear what your feedback is and how you've implemented some of these into your life, and maybe the changes and the transformations you're experiencing. That would just bring my heart so much joy. So as we are wrapping up this month of July and this whole theme of freedom, I just want to say that as a recap, and our beliefs are in our heart, and then they create our thoughts in our mind. And then our thoughts from our mind create our feelings that we feel in our body. And then those create our actions and our decisions. So make sure that whatever you're believing is true. And whatever you're thinking is positive. And when you are feeling the truth and believing the truth and knowing that your thoughts are true, real, and they're positive, you're going to feel your truth and you're going to feel more positive. And when you start taking actions and making decisions from that place, your whole life will change. You will begin to treasure your life again. And you can do it. I can do it. You can do it too. And I'm here to support you if you need help with that. So as we are approaching August, I'm going to be creating episodes based on a book that has literally changed my life, and it's called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, a practical guide to personal freedom. So yes, it's an extension of freedom. It's to how to find more personal freedom in our lives. And I'm going to be focusing on each agreement 1 week at a time. And the first agreement is going to be impeccable with your word. How our words are so important. The second agreement will be don't take anything personally. That's life-changing one to me. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. And the fourth agreement is always do your best. And I know that these episodes are going to bring more freedom in our lives, freedom in our minds, and our body will feel free again. We can let go of the heavy burdens, release the things that no longer serve us, and change those negative thoughts into more positive thoughts. I hope you will stay around. I hope you will subscribe so you don't miss out on the 4 agreements and the bonus episode I have coming up, Freedom from Shame, with my guest. Thank you for listening to Life is a Treasure podcast. I'm Michelle Durand, and I'd like to personally invite you to join us and continue the conversation in our free Facebook group, Life is a Treasure podcast. The link will be in the show notes at lifeisatreasure.com. You can also find my social media links on the website as well. Please reach out to me and introduce yourself. I'd love to hear where you're listening from and what your biggest takeaways have been. And as we begin to share our secrets, our stories, and our struggles, we find that others can have the courage to start sharing theirs. And this is how the healing process begins. So please help us spread the hope and the healing to others by subscribing, reviewing, and sharing this podcast. And make sure to tag me on Instagram at Michelle Marie with 2 E's, Durand, Durand, with hashtag Life is a Treasure podcast for a chance to get a shout out on the show. And also visit lifeisatreasure.com for all the resources and freebies mentioned. We believe that everyone is equal and worthy of healing and unconditional love. And we promise that if you invest your time and energy to do the inner work, you too can transform yourself and create a life that is a treasure. So you can live authentically, love unconditionally, and laugh wholeheartedly. And until next week, peace, love, and joy.